Most people celebrate freedom once a year on July 4th. But what if you could celebrate it every day? Not with fireworks, but with freedom over your income, your time, and your future. Well, you can do that as an insurance broker. And so that's what I'm going to talk about in this video. This video is the independence video. So, part one, financial independence. A lot of people talk about this. I spent a lot of time reading about financial independence right about the pandemic. I was reading about real estate and how do you build up enough residual income that it can replace your W-2. And I was thinking, man, I got to buy real estate. I got to figure out how to buy real estate. And then I realized, well, hold on, I'm an insurance broker. I get paid renewals. And that's essentially what a lease is with a landlord is it's a renewal. And so I connected the dots. Being an insurance broker is a beautiful way to accomplish financial independence. Yeah, you still got to go to work. I mean, you got to maintain your renewals, but I can't think of a single thing in this world that you can put on autopilot and never check. If you're going to invest in the stock market, you still got to check your investments. If you're going to buy real estate, you still got to check in on the real estate. With insurance, you build a book of business, you got to check in on the book of business. But once you build it, it's a lot easier to get your renewals than it is to get new business. And you can basically, at some point, roll out of bed and say, hey, I know the floor on what I'm going to make is a really good number. And it really doesn't matter all that much what I do from a sales perspective this year. I know I'm going to make a really good living because people are still going to need to buy insurance. They're still going to need to renew. They're going to need it for their leases, for their contracts. I'm going to have a job regardless. And so that's a beautiful thing about being an insurance broker is that financial independence of knowing how much you're going to make regardless of what happens in the economy. But let's say you are an insurance agent. How do you maintain your professional freedom? Because there are a number of different people and organizations that are going to try to come for your time and own your time and a little bit of your soul. And so, insurance companies, your employer, and your customers are all going to try and take ownership over you. So, how do insurance companies do it? Let's start there. Insurance companies want you to sell their products when they want you to sell their products. And this is the number one problem of being a captive agent is you have no right to say no. If the insurance company says, "Hey, we actually want you to go chase smaller customers and write a lot of them and that's how you make your living," you have no choice. Other you are obligated to go do what they tell you to do. So being an independent agent means you have the right to go sell whatever you want when whenever you want it and nobody can tell you otherwise. The responsibility that comes with that is you better be able to produce. So as long as you can produce, as long as you can create your value statement out of what you do as an individual and what you deliver to your customer comes out of you personally versus what the insurance company provides, then you have autonomy. If your value is in how you take care of your customers, the way you negotiate, the business advice you offer, the risk management guidance that you offer, it doesn't matter which insurance company you work with. You can tell the customer, you can help them figure out what to buy and be a consigliere to them in that sense. But if your only value comes out of whatever the insurance company is willing to sell, well, then you are captive to that insurance company. You are not autonomous. You are not independent. You are captive to what they tell you to do. Look, early in my career at Bittner Henry, we were at the mercy of companies in two different ways. One, the agency did a lot of churches with one particular company, which if you're watching, you know who you are. We love you. You're the best. We you know that. But from an insurance producer standpoint, I was not allowed to take any accounts by broker of record letter. And the territory I was in had already been very well penetrated by another agency. So I could only take the leftovers for what was there in the state. So I didn't have control over my income in that situation. And on the other side, on the independent side, working with commercial businesses or human services, it hadn't been really well developed. So there weren't companies that were really that interested in doing business with us. And so I was captive in a sense. I was captive on the church side because I could not decide who I was going to work with at any given time. And on the commercial side, I didn't really have enough relationships and enough rapport and trust from my company partners to be able to go and do what I needed to do. And I had to work through all of that. The second part of being independent as a professional is independence from your customers. So, what does that mean? Because a lot of business guides will tell you the customer's already always right and that you need to do what you need to do to keep the customer happy. But if that is your mindset, then the customer is going to control you. And so, how do you be independent from customers? There's a couple of different ways. One, make sure that no one customer controls more than 10% of your income, because once they cross over that threshold, then it feels like it can change your ability to make a living if they come or go. Basically, you need to be able to have the heat mentality where you can pick up and walk away in 60 seconds if you need to from any particular customer. Not that you want to. I've got some customers out there that I really don't want to have to do that, but I also know that my status of living is not going to change if any one particular customer walks out the door. And that gives me independence from those customers. Also, being the obvious choice within a space gives me the independence to walk away from customers that I really don't want to work with. Maybe they're bad pays, maybe they're jerks, maybe there's just personality conflicts, or they want me to do business in a way that does not align with how I want to do business. Being so good that you know you can always replace a customer is going to put you in a position where you can have independence, where you can set your own course. And as long as you know that you are able to replace the customers in your book of business and make no bones about it, you are going to have to replace customers. Nobody keeps every customer for forever. But as long as you know that you can replace them, you are independent of your customers, which is another beautiful feeling that will help you sleep at night if there's no one customer that rules your life. The third part of professional independence is independence from your employer. Now, this is a little bit tricky because we need our employers to cut our paycheck, and you can't go spit in their eyes and expect them to like you. But on the same token, there's a mantra that I live by, which is be so good they can't ignore you. Basically, you can get away with a lot if you're really, really good. People like the other people that help them make money. Now, that's not licensed to be a jerk. And that's not licensed to do whatever you want. And you should still treat people with dignity and respect because you need them. And if you don't, it will come back and burn you eventually. But here's the thing, if you are so good that they can't replace you, then they won't replace you. So this is harder to do at larger firms. I think that if you're a part of a large national corporation, it's really hard to be so big that they can't displace you. And it really works better if you're at smaller to regional firms where you can be a leader within the organization and basically say, I create so much revenue here that you could not replace me. Or I am such a thought leader in this space that there is no obvious second choice to do what I do within the organization. And that gives you job stability within the organization. And frankly, if you're that good, I'm sure there's other agencies that would want to take your services too. So it all comes down to being so good they can't ignore you. Honestly, it's the same thing that gives you independence from your customers and from your companies. If you are so good as a broker that the space cannot ignore you, people will clamor for your services. Companies will beg for you to sell their products. Customers will beg for you to represent them. And your employer will beg you to go sell those products. And at the end of the day, if you're that good, you will have the independence to say yes or no to any or all of them in any of those categories. All right, that's my 4th of July Independence episode talking about one of the things I love most, which is independence. I hope you have a wonderful 4th of July. Thank you so much for watching. If you've got any thoughts or comments, drop them in the comment section. If you like this video, hit like and subscribe. And thank you so much for watching. Please go build something great.